what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. I hope you all are doing well out there on a Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Got a chance to, go out and with your friends and family, probably watch some college baseball right now. As we're recording this on a Sunday afternoon, college baseball playoffs and everything is still going on, as well as the NBA finals. So overall, guys, I hope you all out there are doing well at the top of the week. As always, guys, we appreciate you all listening to the show. You know where to find us. We're on multiple streaming platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So if you guys are listening to the show, as you always do, of course, we appreciate it. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It's definitely important for me and Chris. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve this show for the future for you all. So as always, we very much appreciate you guys' support with the show. As always, guys, you know who I'm with. I'm with my good friend and co-host. You know who he is. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, my brother?
Nothing much. Just enjoying, these summer days, counting down the days till we get the season started. We coming up. We're under 100 days now, so we almost there, Kory. We getting there slowly but surely. We are getting closer and closer.
Yeah. I mean, each week goes by, Chris, I can hear the cowbells from Starkville, Mississippi, clanging. I can hear the woo pig sueing. I can see the Oregon Duck just ride his motorcycle at the Austin Zoo. I can see it all.
And we're getting close to the season approaching now that the annual tradition of the college football video game, we're getting the news of the game, and we're getting closer to its release. And that was always the checkpoint to let you know, all right, like football season's almost here. The game dropped. So we're close to the game dropping. So we're close to the season.
Exactly. We for a while, Chris, we missed those days of knowing that, hey, we were almost near watching some college football again, knowing that the video game was coming out. That was the great pinpoint of time that we had in between, enjoying the video game and knowing that we were going to watch some actual college football soon. So now that feeling is back, it's no feeling like having that again. Like it's great to have that feeling again.
It's very special, and now the kids nowadays, they get to experience it. There was a whole decade-long period where that wasn't happening.
Right.
It was tough. It was tough. But we got the vibes back. Mm-hmm. I know I'm itching and scratching and yearning for some college football now that my YouTube algorithm is being filled with me searching old football games and checking them out. So I just you mentioned Woo Pig Suey. Mm-hmm. I was just watching the Arkansas LSU game from 2007.
Oh wow!
Earlier today, when with McFadden and the boys going stupid, running all over LSU. It was
a field day.
Man, that was a crazy game, boy. A crazy game.
Oh man, I remember it like it was yesterday. Just seeing Darren McFadden. That was like one of his Heisman moments. At the time. Yeah. Like the ball was back.
Peyton Hillis.
Yeah.
Oh man, Peyton Hillis.
I know both those guys. They both ended up going to the NFL, having some pretty decent careers. But yeah, it all started there at the collegiate level for Arkansas, and you saw how those guys performed then, and then when they went to the NFL, what they could also do. They brought that same level of play, even better. Some may say, to the game. So yeah, I could definitely see you in that moment. Even myself, being in that moment, watching that game, it was. It was great. That was where it was at.
It was crazy. It was crazy, man. That we talk about it all the time. Just real quick before we get into the topics.
Mm-hmm.
That 2007 season, man, that was really a wild season, Kory. Like the fact that LSU won the Natty that year is pretty bananas.
Yeah,
having 2 losses before a playoff system. You won the championship with 2 losses by your name? What?
In a BCS system?
Exactly.
Yeah. Insane. But that just
That's
shows
all you need to know.
Yeah, it just shows you how crazy that season was, because to be in the BCS national championship at the time, you almost had to be near perfect, flawless. You had to show almost no weakness and win pretty much all of your games. And for a season like that in 2007 to just be as chaotic as it was, it just shows you how special of a season that was in college football.
Yeah, I'm sure if you asked any LSU fan before the season, if you told them you lost at Kentucky and at Arkansas, do you think you guys won a national championship? They be like, no.
No way, Jose.
We might not made a New Year's Six bowl. We might be in trouble. We lost to Arkansas and Kentucky, but yeah, that's how the cookie crumbled. And what a year! And I'm sure this season will be one for the ages too, Kory.
Oh, absolutely. With some of the changes that are going on with the playoffs. And some of the players that are coming back, recruiting has definitely changed in the landscape of college football over the last several years. This recruiting class, I think, will definitely help a lot of these teams, create some great moments, of course, and just for the common college football fan out here, we're going to see some great football games this year. So I think the level of competition has increased even more to have some of those crazy moments.
Oh yeah, that is for sure. And there's a few things going on behind the scenes that I think will continue to add to the moments and memories that we'll be having here in college football and in college athletics as a whole.
Absolutely, man. So I guess, Chris, we can go ahead and get to some of the topics today. We don't have many, but I think we can really, elaborate more on some of these stories that we have on today's show for you all out there. And one of the leading ones that we want to talk about is, the judge has okayed a settlement in terms of the whole case between the NCAA. So there has been a deal approved of $2.8 billion settlement, Chris, that this paves the way for college athletes to be paid. I'm looking at an article from Dan Murphy. He does great work at ESPN, so shout out to Dan for this article. Judge okays $2.8 billion settlement, paving way for college athletes, paving way for colleges to pay athletes. So, he just talks about the judge, Claudia Wilkin, approved the deal between the NCAA, its most powerful conferences, and lawyers representing all Division I athletes. And pretty much now, Chris, in general, this now gives the schools to pay athletes officially. Not to say that they weren't already doing that, but but this now is set in stone, and now schools actually have an actual set budget. I think the cap I'm looking at, it says that it's expected to start roughly at around $20.5 million per school, starting in the 2025 to 2026 year. And it's going to increase every year during the decade long deal that they have. So pretty much, yeah, Chris, this is monumental news. On top of that, the college football video game that's coming out, we have 26. That game is the official game where EA, which are the people, folks out there, if you're not in the know of the video game and who creates it, Electronic Arts can now start compensating schools depending on how much said schools that are in the game, that are represented in the game, are played. I forget the actual number on what it is, but for the most part, depending on how many times your school gets played in the game, a little lump sum goes into the pot to then pay those schools. So overall, Chris, monumental news in college athletics in general, not just football, but college basketball, men's and women's, all of that. That players can get paid, and the schools are now able to pay the athletes and also get paid by brands such as Electronic Arts. So this is monumental news. Still have some questions on, how's the revenue going to be split? How's everything going to be split? Of course, you got Title IX stuff that I'm sure that can make its way into discussions. But overall, like I said, this is monumental news. What is your thoughts about this, Chris? And what do you think that this can do for the long term for the college athlete and just college athletics in general?
I think this is good. I think this is good, Kory. We've discussed so much about how the NIL has been working, and these boosters getting stretched in. I mean, year in and year out, you're having to conjure up the bread as the boosters and alumni, and the fans. Essentially, we're familiar with the Bulldog Collective, and all these other ways to try to support your favorite university's NIL fund, and it ain't easy. It ain't easy. If you want to win with how things have been currently constructed, you essentially you needed to have the fattest wallet. You had to pony up, to quote Mark Stoops at Kentucky. You had to get that money flowing in, and I think this is in a sense, a good reset, and can maybe restore players going to universities simply because they really like that university. Like, that's where they want to be at. And it's not necessarily all about the bag and who's offering the most money. And it's just good that, just be honest, these universities be having so much money. Like, why we got to be the ones paying? Like,
good point. When you start thinking about it.
Like, we're still going to be NIL, and there will still be guys making money that way. But it sounds like there will be a little more stipulations and regulations in place to make sure that these guys are fulfilling the needs of their NIL. Whatever they are signed up, whether it's doing advertising, or you doing whatever you're doing to get the NIL money. It sounds like they will be more on top of that, and not it just being called NIL and you just simply get a check. and you don't have to meet your obligations as a player. Sounds like things will be a little tighter on that front, but essentially, these guys are going to be getting the university bag, and I think that's good because clearly there's enough university bag money to go around.
Yeah, tons of it. Tons of it. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Chris. So much money already before this. Schools were generating tons of money into NIL and just overall revenue. That was a big topic of discussion. It has been the last several years with schools, receiving their revenue. Yeah, like we've seen that, and it does, squander up the question on, hey, why do the fans have to pay more? You see the whole news, of course, about the University of Tennessee. You go to a game out in Rocky Top, Chris. You probably used to pay probably like $5 for a beer. Well, it's now $10 now. If that, you want those nachos? Guess what? $12. You know what I'm saying? Fork it over, okay? You see all of this change in terms of how it was used to help out with the student athlete, but in terms, it did take a lot out of the college football fan that just wants to watch good college football, just wants to watch football in general. And something needs to change. And luckily, the U.S. judges looked at this whole outdated system. We always looked at this as a big outdated system that we were wanting, just praying that the NCAA would change, and now it's something that they have to abide to now. So it's definitely big change for college athletics. Amateurism, or the lack of amateurism, we can't really even call it that now. It's just a big change for college athletics in general, and it's going to be interesting to see how this changes a lot of these teams that were, they may have not been at the top of revenue leaders in college athletics, but maybe this does breathe new life into a lot of these schools now that were probably like at that second or third or fourth tier now. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, same. So I'm very curious to see how it does help the teams that from what how we've been growing up watching, at least keeping this college football, the 5-year window teams. Like every 5 years, if you're Mississippi State, in Arkansas, Kentucky, and Auburn, those schools in the SEC, South Carolina, teams like that, normally you got to have that 1 year in that 5-year cycle where you are right there, and it's your time, your chance to possibly win the conference. Maybe this goes a long way in helping those schools, whether it's a team like that in the SEC or in other conferences. The Georgia Techs of the world in the ACC, and your North Carolinas, teams like that. It'll be curious to see how it impacts those teams, those middling universities, or Wisconsin and Iowa. We know Illinois will compete this year. They're having, this is that season for Illinois. And teams like that, how it'll affect them long term as they continue to try to compete with conferences that got some big dogs. Man, there's some real teams with the NIL bag that can make it happen. I.e. Oregon and your Ohio State, Michigan. There are schools that got that NIL ready, but maybe this could help give those teams a chance to really get those guys that are bought into what they're selling.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and that's what makes this very interesting going forward in terms of the college athlete being paid, in terms of this college football players being paid. One of the biggest revenue makers at these colleges is football, and if you're only as good as your talent. And hey, nowadays, recruiting has been really based on NIL, all of that. You're being seen, being heard, and for my services. if you're a college athlete, and a lot of these schools now get that opportunity to utilize NIL, and still recruiting the best talent out there, but NIL now is an even bigger part of building your teams. So, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what a lot of these schools that have never gotten that high in terms of major status in the sport utilize NIL to make their teams better, and to also showcase, hey, we step aside Ohio State, step aside Alabama, Georgia, all of these schools, Michigan, we want to make a name for ourselves as well. And hey, it starts off with relationships, as I like to say, with recruiting, and also that sweet NIL money that you can take advantage of. So it's going to be interesting to see how these coaches and how these programs utilize it going forward. But nonetheless, a big step in the world of college athletics.
Yes, and I think too, just a last little quick point I want to give. I think this can go a long way in player retention, to maybe not make the portal be the wild, wild west that it's been in college football, particularly. Even college basketball, the portal has been big, and baseball to a lesser degree. But especially in college football, the portal's just been too crazy. And I think this can go a long way in helping college football as a whole, as a sport, if we're able to get these guys, who they are as recruits, and they stick with the program for, their entirety of their career. And it isn't just always a brand new roster, because it's hard for the average college football fan to keep up with the squad when every year it's like, dang, man, we lost this 20 players, 25 guys to the portal. Like, we got new faces. Who are these guys? Well, if we can get these guys to stick around for the 3-4 seasons, I think that goes a long way in continuing to keep that fandom, that bond, and that relationship you build as a fan. If those guys are staying in house, we get to see their careers through.
Yeah. It's because before then we didn't have the notion of a set budget and all of this stuff, and having things capped out and everything. It was the wild, wild west. Now things should be more streamlined to help a lot of teams retain a lot of players, and that way the transfer portal won't be as crazy, of course, and we can actually see a slight trajectory from a lot of these teams, because before then we couldn't really tell what the trajectory was. Well, look, for instance, I'm not saying this maybe a little bit, but just from Mississippi State, or like a Kentucky, or whoever, teams that didn't have the best season last year, we never know. Maybe the guys that they did get are probably playoff level players out there that could probably catapult some of these teams into the playoffs. Who knows? And having things set up in the way that they are now can definitely help out with the following years as well and build programs. So this is definitely a great time to get a lot of these questions cleared up, because a lot of people ask these questions and they wanted answers, of course. And now hopefully we can see a lot of these teams retain players, and it'll definitely help the average college football player produce better on the field, but also become a better player as well. Because if they can also use that time with their teams that they're at now to become better, so that, hey, if they get an opportunity to go and play in the NFL, that time building a relationship at that school with that coach, that can help the coach, that can also help the player as well. And you could see that as they get ready to probably go off into the NFL. And it also helps scouts too. So no, I definitely get what you're saying, Chris. I just hope that this does start a revolution of that happening.
Agreed. So we can only sit back and watch how it all plays out. There's, like you mentioned in the article, with the outlining everything that's taking place, there's still some kinks that got to be sorted out, a few things ironed out, and we'll see what decisions are made and how this commission works out. That's supposed to oversee everything. So it's still a few things that got to be taken care of, and we'll see how it all works out. But this is, like you said, it's a good foundation that's being laid.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll definitely keep following along on how things change, of course. But this was the announcement that a lot of college football fans and a lot of college sports fans have been waiting for, and that was how revenue splits were going to be taken care of with this new model of NIL in the sports. So yeah, we'll definitely keep our eyes on the lookout for any news that that takes shape with the whole NIL scenario in college football and just everywhere in college athletics. So yeah, Chris, anything else you'd like to add before we move on to our Group of 5 playoff predictions?
No, sir.
All right. Well, folks, so me and Chris, we recently just wrapped up our Power 4 conference playoff predictions, our early all-season playoff predictions. We had an extensive dialogue of a lot of these teams in the Group of 4 conferences, or in the Power 4 conferences.
All the contenders.
Yeah.
That can make their way in there.
Exactly. I mean, just a great chat that me and you had, Chris, and I think we hit the nail on the head pretty perfectly with some of our picks. Still got to see the games be played. Still got to see that, but I think we have a good pulse. Good thumb on the pulse on some of these teams, and I can't wait till we see what happens. But in terms of the Group of 5 conferences out there, there's a ton of teams out there, Chris, that can jockey for one of those 12 spots this coming season. So I'm excited to see what happens. We actually have a list that me and Chris were actually looking at from ESPN and talking about betting the odds. And this is from Neil Payne. He has a list of his Power Four conference teams. Of course, some of them we talked about on this show, and he also has a couple of teams from the Group of Five as well. So, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and let you kind of get a head start on some of the teams that you're interested in. I know me and you will probably agree on some of them. I'll definitely, bring my 2 cents to the table. But, I'll let you go ahead and start off. Who are some of your teams that you're looking at in the Group of Five that have an opportunity to make their way into the playoffs this season?
Well, of course, we have to start at the top with the team that did make the playoff last year with Boise State. Even though Ashton Gentry is in the NFL, no longer on his Michael Myers in the backfield with this stance. This team is still a really good team. It's still Boise. Got a few players you got to replace. Defensive line, a couple of defensive linemen, because that D-line was really good last year. Very underrated group nationally. Was a very good D-line. We'll see how they go about doing so, but I think Boise will still be Boise. They may not make the playoff, but you definitely have to look out for them to possibly do so and win the Mountain West again. So I definitely have to mention them, put them in the mix. I think also, you got to look at Tulane, the Green Wave. You did lose. This team did get rated, Kory. I'm just going to be real with you. Makai Hughes, we know he was a beast at running back. Well, when you play very well at a place like Tulane, other schools come calling. And so now he's looking to be the starting running back at Oregon. So that's how good he was at Tulane last season. But the head coach is John Sumrall. He's one of the budding young head coaches in college football. He will only be at Tulane for so long. But while he is at Tulane, he will have these guys and the players that he has on his roster, he will get the absolute most out of them. And so, despite some of the talent that has gone to other places and gone on to the NFL, Tulane did bring in a lot of guys. They had 26 new players that are expected to have play a role this season. So they brought in transfers themselves. And I just trust and believe in John Sumrall and what he's doing in Tulane. So I think Tulane will be right there in the mix. And then another team, I know you'll have some that you want to mention as well. But James Madison is a team that you might not see. You'll hear a few people mention. They are a sneaky bunch. Interesting schedule. They play at Louisville. If James Madison pulls off the upset, because it will be an upset, Louisville is a team that's looked at as a sneaky ACC contender. If James Madison goes to Louisville and pulls off the upset, that is their "we are here" moment to the college football world, because this is a team. Signetti was there before he took the IU job. They continue to play very good football. It's an offense that can put up points. If they go to Louisville and win that game, and they bring back a lot of talent, a lot of players from last year's team, which is kind of rare in this day and age in college football, they bring back a lot of pieces. I think this is a team that you have to be on the lookout for to make some noise, to make some shake. And so I will be tuned in to that Louisville game. That's going to be one of them ones. It's just a little sneaky matchup. There's going to be so much going on. Nobody's really going to be looking at James Madison against Louisville, but we're telling you now, that's a game you want to look out for this upcoming season.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what James Madison does. I always see James Madison games, here and there, on like my ESPN simulcast list of games, of course. And I always know that they have like really good teams, and they play very good football over there. But I'm starting to think that James Madison could be a force to be reckoned with this coming season, and that speaks volumes on what head coach Bob Chesney has done there his few years at James Madison. I think he's a guy that's some teams out there, if they need to make a change, they're probably going to be looking at it as well.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Because they went 9-4 last year. So don't let them make the playoff this year. It'll be his last year.
I'm telling you, man. And look, if you're a James Madison fan out there, hey, look, you better be just clutching your pearls. Boy, you better be clutching Bob Chesney's legs. Like, look, don't go nowhere, okay? $20.5 million a year, okay? but no, look, I think what James Madison has done with their football program in the last several years now, they've really made a name for themselves in being one of those teams that, hey, we may not be Alabama, we may not be like a Georgia, but we produce players here. We produce really good football teams out there that's going to give you our all for 60 minutes a game. And I think sky's the limit for this team. I can't wait to watch them this season. With, like I said, and like you said as well, we're definitely going to keep a close eye to see what they do this season, because hey, they have a pretty manageable schedule. But if they can beat a team, or get close to knocking out a team like Louisville, and they also have Washington State later in the season.
And they got Liberty.
And they have Liberty.
Another team that's trying to be a G5, contender.
Absolutely.
Playoff contender. So yeah, if they win those two games, if you beat Liberty and Louisville, it's gonna be a lot of people talking about James Madison. If that happens.
Agreed. So yeah, man. I'm interested to see what happens this season with James Madison. We'll definitely follow up a lot with them. I know you mentioned Tulane as well. I think Tulane is going to have a heck of a season as well. And this was a team that almost had and they almost had a way to get into the playoffs, Chris. It was between Tulane and I think Memphis as well. Those two teams, and who I'm also looking at as well as being a pretty good G5 team that can get in there. They were neck and neck in terms of getting an opportunity to squeeze into that 12-team playoff. And had it not been for I believe Navy, was I? Am I correct? Was he the Navy? Yeah. Who were, I think, like ahead of both of them. One of them would have actually got a chance to possibly be in there. So who knows? Maybe both of them would have been in there, because Memphis they still had a pretty good season despite losing a couple games that they probably should have won. I still remember fondly Memphis losing to UTSA, Texas San Antonio, like early or in the mid season of last year, and yeah, that did kind of hurt them, hurt their chances, of course. But it's a new year, it's a new opportunity for some of these teams to perform, and I'm definitely interested on some of those teams as well. For Memphis, they don't have Seth Hennigan. He's now quarterbacking over there in Jacksonville, the Duval County. but but I do think that this team still has a ton of talent. I still have to, do a little bit of my homework just to see some guys that are coming in, of course. But every year, you can't count Memphis out. You just can't. And I think that the story is going to be more of the same for this season.
Yeah, I mean that's a good pick. Program has shown to they have elevated the expectations at Memphis. So that's a good bet. That's a team that can be right there in the mix when it's all said and done. So I like Memphis as well and what they're doing over there. What the foundation that's been laid there. So I think the guys can keep the positive momentum rolling, and we'll see what season they have this year. I'm sure that, like you said, they're probably kicking themselves in the butt for a couple of the losses that they had last year, or else they would have been in the dance.
Yeah.
So they'll definitely be motivated and hungry this offseason to try to right some wrongs and be a more consistent team on the field this year.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see what that squad does this season. It should be a fun one down there in Memphis. I mean, they're always giving teams fits for sure. I mean, before I move on to my next team, let me look at their schedule. So, okay, I see it. So, their biggest test will be September 20th against Arkansas. And Arkansas comes to Memphis. So that's an interesting one, Chris.
Ooh, that's a get your ass fired game right there. Sam Pittman.
Oh my gosh. Look, man. Hey, if anybody know about
respectfully to Memphis, but hey, this is a tough year for Sam out there in Arkansas. He needs everyone he can get.
Exactly. Look, man, you might as well look, you can talk to a couple people about Memphis. You can talk to Hugh Freeze about Memphis. You
can talk to Mike Norvell.
You can talk to Mike Norvell about Memphis. You can talk to a couple people about Memphis. Don't play Memphis, especially not in Memphis. Just don't do it, okay? What Marvin Sapp said, Chris, I said close them doors, okay? Just close the door.
Oh man, hey, it's tough out there, man. It's tough. The Liberty Bowl is no joke.
I know. Yeah, I know it's not, man. And look, you go there if you want and play around for 60 minutes and see if you don't get put in a trap sandwich out there. Like it can happen. It can happen, folks. Oh man, but yeah, no, I just had to see that in regards to the schedule because I think they have an opportunity, and they still have to play Tulane, they still have to play Navy, last game of the season. But yeah, I think overall, I think their schedule is pretty manageable. So we'll see what happens with them moving forward, Chris. But another team that I wanted to mention, and you probably agree with me on this, South Florida. We're talking about a team last season that we could be talking about right now. This team could have beat Alabama. We could be talking about, hey, they beat Alabama. They took them out of commission, and that would have been a big moment for the Bulls had Alex Golish and his squad defeated the first year coach Kalen DeBoer at Bama. That could have been big news, but just to still see them get close was enough for me, and I know for you as well, Chris, to say, hey, maybe something's cooking down there at South Florida. Maybe they got something brewing down there that a lot of us aren't privy to. I know you're probably a little bit privy to South Florida than I am, just because you're in the area. But I do think this team has they have a fighting chance, Chris, to make it interesting. They do start the season off against Boise State. That's interesting. And Boise State has to come to Tampa. So they do have an upper edge at that. Yeah. Maybe you should go that game, Chris.
It's gonna be too hot for me.
Yeah, look. During that time, look, August 28th. Look, down there in Florida, I don't even want to experience that heat. I'm here in Texas. Oh man, but no. Should be interesting.
You're right. You're right. This is a team. I think quarterback play will be much better this season. That's what held them up last year from pulling off the upset. Was they just couldn't make enough plays with the QB. So this season, if you beat Boise and you're going to be on national TV, it's a Thursday game, Kory. Thursday on ESPN primetime.
I'm going to be.
If you beat Boise,
watching that.
yeah. Likewise. If you beat Boise State, that's a statement dub to start the season, and then you go to Florida, to Miami, and we're just speaking as if if you're a team that's trying to be a Group of 5 school and make the playoff, you win 2 of those 3 games. Let's say you beat Boise. If you win at Florida or at Miami, you don't have to win both. But if you win one of those games, you have now made yourself a serious contender by beating Boise and a team that 2 teams that are in Power 5, Power 4 conferences, and the talent that those 2 schools have. You mess around and beat one of them. And both these teams, I expect to be top 25 teams in the nation to be ranked in the preseason polls. That will help elevate your status, and you will be a ranked team from that point forward. You just got to handle business in the conference schedule.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you look at this schedule, Chris. It after pretty much that first 3-game gauntlet. It's doable. It's doable. You still have some pretty good teams. Like I just mentioned, you have Memphis. You have to travel to Memphis. That might be pretty.
Memphis,
pretty tough.
UTSA, Navy. Yeah, that's the next 3-game gauntlet for them in conference play.
Absolutely, and yeah, it could get a little interesting there in terms of securing your season. But for the most part, I think you have an opportunity. There's an opportunity there for you to make a name for yourself.
Definitely.
I like this.
So I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Absolutely. So yeah, man. It's definitely interesting to see some of these teams in terms of the schedule and some of the players that they have coming in. But yeah, I for one, I was very impressed by seeing what Alex Golish brought to the table, and for the Bulls, and I'm just as more excited to see what they do. This would be year 2 for him, correct? Or year 3? Yeah,
year 3.
Yeah, year 3 for him. Absolutely.
So yeah, he's he's laying down the foundation, getting things right, and typically it is year 3 where we do see teams make that elevation, that jump.
Right.
So even if South Florida doesn't make it in the playoffs, I'm expecting them to have a 9-win season when it's all said and done.
Yeah,
including the bowl game. I can see them having like a 9-4 type of year. If all things go right, you can have double digits out there at South Florida, but I think they will make a jump this year, Kory.
Yeah, I think they can too as well, and I think Alex Golish himself is I think he's slowly but surely building his resume into one of those household names in college football. And I think what I saw last season from him shows a coach that can coach some pretty good offense. If he has some pretty good players. I mean, he was at Tennessee in the past as offensive coordinator and tight ends coach. So I think he's all gas, no brakes down there in Tampa right now, and I think he knows what he has, and he's brought in some guys as well. I'm sure from recruiting, and he's getting. You can tell he's getting guys to buy into that program, and it seems to be working. So I think that this is an opportunity in year 3 for him to build something special.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I will be tuned in and see what see if they can get the season started off right. It's almost we talk about playoff contenders, at least in the group of 5 level, Kory. All these games are playoff games for them. The margin of error is just super slim. It's just so thin. So as us in college football purists, we may not get the meaning, like the regular season games having that same meaning that they did in the early 2000s or 90s in the past with the big boys with the Power 4 conferences. Well, it still applies with a group of 5.
Absolutely, like that's never going to change, especially at this point. Like I think that the group of 5 definitely has a lot going for them in terms of competing on a weekly basis. It's one thing seeing your average G4 team go out there and stump a mud hole into a Division 1-2 team for 60 minutes. Not to be disrespectful to those teams, but there is a difference in talent with the G5 teams. There's a little bit of difference in talent too, but these guys they have a very low margin of error. You lose one game, you're already like cast aside by a lot of the media pundits out there. So you got to come with it every week to be successful, and to get that opportunity.
You don't have no choice. So we still got the recipes in G5. We aren't losing recipes for G5 football. So it's going to be off the chain, man. It's going to be lit. We'll see how these teams navigate the season. It seems there's always going to be somebody that gets off to a hot start, then tails off at the end. So who will be able to keep that momentum going for 12 games? It's not easy.
It's not easy. It is not easy, my friend. But it's definitely what makes it interesting about watching G5 football. You're never watching a dull moment, a dull week watching any G5 schools, because you know what they have to do, and they know it too.
And they feel the pressure as well. And the other team on the other sideline knows that team that needs this win, they feel the pressure of having to beat us. I mean, that's what makes this thing so beautiful. Even at the G5 level, there's trap games.
Yeah,
and you got to bring it every week.
Yeah, there's always trap games in G5 football. So that's why I love it, man. I love it. I love seeing some of these smaller schools, of course, duke it out because we grew up, Chris, seeing the SEC duke it out. We knew by like week 4, week 5. It's always just gonna be a barn burner. It's gonna be Royal Rumble, but it's Royal Rumble at the top of the schedule for a lot of these G5 schools. So that's what makes it entertaining for me.
Facts. I mean, just as myself, somebody growing up in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, right there, USM, The Rock.
Yep.
Right there on. Just that's where I used to go to games at as a kid. And Jeff Bauer, was the coach then. USM legend right there, Jeff Bauer. Teams knew, man. You came to the Rock, it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
You weren't just about to just stomp USM out. That's not how USM got down.
Nope.
I mean, I remember Nebraska coming to town. It was a tough game. Cal. That game was a hell game for Cal. They lost to USM, a highly ranked Cal team. Alabama had their battles with Southern Miss.
Yep.
So these teams, man, they be licking, these G5 teams be licking their chops for the chance to play against the big boys. And so if you have these playoff contenders, these teams that really think they can have a season, tune into those games when they play a step up in competition, because they're going to be ready to go, man. So you will see a playoff effort from them.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's always great to see some of these G5 teams perform, and I think this season is going to be no different. You're going to see that level of intensity. Maybe not talent. You may not see a bunch of Jeremiah Smiths out there. But you're definitely going to see a level of intensity that's going to be kicked a couple notches. So that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun. And I think we're going to see that this season. And this is going to be a very good year for a couple of these teams in the G5.
Agreed.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, Chris, do you have any other teams out there that come to mind in terms that could be sleeper teams for one of those top 12 spots?
UTSA out there, San Antonio.
Yeah,
I think that's a team that can potentially make some noise as well. They've been consistently good over the last few seasons, and just being in Texas, of course, you're not going to be bringing in the same caliber of guys of Texas and A&M, and now with SMU and how they're performing, they've been able to recruit well too, but it's still Texas, and there's a lot of gems, a lot of hidden talent. Guys that can't make it to play at Texas, and they can't go to TAMU. So, with the right coaching, and they have a good coaching staff at UTSA, I think that's a team, be on the lookout for. They can make some noise. So we'll see how things go with them as well. I think UTSA definitely has a really good program over there in San Antonio. I've seen just pictures and watch some games. Of course, like, hey, they make it crunk over there at the Alamo. they gonna do. Look, they don't have their own stadium, but one thing I know for sure: if you're gonna watch a game, you're gonna watch UTSA perform at the Alamo Dome. They got a show for you. So you can't really count out the Road Runners completely, because they've had some really good teams before. And a few years ago, they ended their season undefeated, which was a big moment for UTSA.
I remember that a few years ago, and I think there's no doubt in my mind that a team like UTSA can't try to do that again. So I definitely agree with you, Chris. I think it'd be wise to watch out for the Road Runners this season because you never know what they might be able to accomplish out there. So
exactly.
Yeah. I'm definitely I'm definitely bullish on them, and one other team as well. They're not that far away from them. Down there in San Marcos, Texas State, the Bobcats. Texas State has tried to jab a couple of teams here and there some years, Chris.
They had some good games last season.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, look, last year, they gave their all against Arizona State. They lost the game, but this year, they have an opportunity to right those wrongs and get that lick back potentially against Arizona State this season. We'll see what happens, but September the 13th, that's a big moment for them, and that's right after they have to go to play UTSA. September 6th, they have to play UTSA, and then the following week, they got to play Arizona State. So at their field.
Hey, talk about a tough 2-game stretch, man. That's
interesting.
Boy. It is very interesting, man. This first 3-4 weeks of the season, in just all respects, whether it's on the Power 4 level or the G5 level, man, there's some good matchups going on early in the season, Kory.
Pandemonium is already about to strike.
Off the rip. Off the muscle.
We gonna be busy. That's all we gotta know. I'm looking at the schedule, Chris. We already got betting the odds for those first 2 weeks for some of these games. This is insane. Just saying. But hey, that's what gets us going. That's all I can say. I think that's what makes all of this even more worthwhile. Where we're waiting a whole off season, waiting through the summer, and then we get to this point. We see a lot of these games that already have these high stakes, like you said.
It's college football for you. The gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Why wouldn't it be? It's like Christmas every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. and some Sundays and Mondays to start the year. Oh man, but no, I'm liking what I'm seeing right now in terms of the schedule and just in terms of some of these teams. Can't wait, Chris. We're getting there, and I can't wait for us to talk about some of these games when they happen.
Yeah. I'm ready. Look, clearly we're both ready. We're talking about college football right now. So hey, man, let's just press fast forward on this bad boy, man. Give me the late August.
Exactly. We got college football 26 coming out. Of course, that only elevates our excitement. You know how it is. So yeah, I can't get the excitement out of me when I got a whole college football video game coming out.
Yeah. We'll get one of these teams and then get a dynasty going.
Yeah.
With one of these G5 schools and see what we can make shape.
Hey, look, I'm all for that. I'm ready. I'm ready. Look, you get James Madison, I go out here, I get Southern Miss, man. I'm a represent. I'm gonna represent for Hattiesburg, Mississippi out there. I gotta do it. I gotta do this for you, Chris. I gotta do this for you.
Beat me with my hometown university, boy. That's gonna have me sick.
But you'll feel proud at the same time.
Just don't name the coach Jeff Bauer. Then we gonna really have some problems.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I can't do that. Oh man, that would be funny. That would be funny indeed. But yeah, man. So it's gonna be interesting. There'll definitely be some more news that we'll talk about. As we're getting through the summer and everything, start working on getting some guests on here, Chris, for sure, for both of us to kind of tap into and just kind of get an opportunity to get into the head and minds of some of these people that are in the know of some of these programs out here. So just create a more proper excitement. Bring some more news in. I think it'll be interesting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, man. Well, Chris, I think this was another great show for the both of us. Before we head out of here, got some outros. Go ahead, Chris. Let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Chris_Bolton_12. Holla at your boy. Talking college football, NBA, UFC, boxing, wrestling, of course, baseball as well. The baseball season is in full swing. So, check me out on there on the work that we're doing with MLB Bro. So you'll see a lot of my content on there as well. So just holler at your boy on X and on Instagram, Chris.Bolton _. So tap in with me.
Nice. Definitely follow Chris on all available platforms that he's on. He does great work over there at MLB Bro. So yeah, definitely tap in and get information from him and his team over there. If you're an MLB fan out there. So yeah. Folks, you can find me on X at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football news, of course. I'm seeing all the leaks of CFB 26 out there, so I'm excited about that. Professional wrestling or any other, fun, passionate hobby that I'm out there enjoying. So yeah, definitely follow me on there as well. But yeah, folks, we appreciate you guys listening in to the show. Like I said earlier, follow us on all of our available streaming platforms out there that we provide to you, good folks. Definitely feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, because it's definitely important for Chris and I to see the growth of the show and things that we can definitely figure out for the future to improve the show as well. So definitely follow us on there. We'll be back. We'll give it a few weeks. We'll see. Of course, when we can come back, if there's any news available. So be sure to be locked in here on the Breakdown Sportscast, guys. We'll definitely be back pretty soon with another episode. But until next time, I'm Kory Willis. He's Chris Bolton. You are listening to the Breakdown Sportscast. We will chat with y'all later on. Peace.